Oh, hey, everyone's here. Hi, what's up? What's
You ready
happening?
to just pull a Blues Clues entrance? Bruh. this
Yes, I
man,
did.
this
I
man
guess I
just went
did.
Nick Jr. on the podcast. What is going on?
Nick Jr. Hey, at least it wasn't Nick at night, all right? All right. All right. So, anyways, welcome to Bearded Fireflies Wrestling Podcast. Today is March 9th, 2024, the year of our Lord, the year of the dragon, not the American dragon. No, not the American dragon. Uh,
Who's that?
also the year of the Scorpion retiring. The year of fans getting glass in their face and AEW not covering medical costs. We'll get into that a little bit later on with the F-bomb of the week. But anyways, today we got a really cool guest, really awesome guest, another fellow podcaster, somebody that I met through podcasting. I think he's a super awesome guy. And also, just like Chris, found out he was a wrestling fan through the podcast. So that was pretty cool. Everybody, welcome George Brooks. What up, George?
George.
What's up? How's everybody doing? I guess it's still it's afternoon now. How's everyone this afternoon?
We're good, man. We're good.
Killing. True.
Yeah. Today's a good day, man. It's the year of the dragon, not the American dragon, George.
Definitely not the American dragon.
Yeah. I kind of heard some things about him. People that had interactions with him at the AEW event, and they weren't very nice things. So,
well, color me shocked.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew you'd like that one, Sean.
Oh, man, this is wild. Anyways, George, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right, I am the founder and CEO of my own nonprofit Meta Association, which deals with Black mental health, all mental health, male mental health recovery, fighting recidivism, and fatherhood. I've been sober 6 years as of last month. I'm an advocate, a huge wrestling fan, an anime fan, which I will tie into this show later on. But I actually work for a promotion run by Sir Mo Bobby Horn in Dallas. I'm a booker for them. Swore Wrestling. So I always got to pimp them and promote them every chance I get. They're a great promotion. They're great talent. It's an honor and a privilege to be involved with them. So I'm just a fan, though. I grew up on Memphis wrestling. It's in my blood. I'm a Jerry Lawler fan. I love the business. I've loved it as long as I can remember. It's in my blood. So that's just who I am.
Absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. It's about fans connecting, right?
Right. And I was bringing up a point because, WrestleMania was in Dallas a couple years ago, and I had to leave for a speaking engagement, so I wasn't able to go to the event. I regret that, but I did volunteer at the Superstore, and it was so cool. It's like with wrestling, it doesn't matter what color you are, what creed you are, anything. You see somebody else with a Stone Cold shirt, and you got on yours. It's like, it's like instantaneous. It's like a spark that goes on right there. And that's such a cool and beautiful thing. And we also see it a lot in other fandom, like anime, like Akira Toriyama passed. And we're all in mourning. And it's like, you feel that too. And that's something that wrestling brings to us that I think is really beautiful. And I think we should celebrate it more. Is the fact that it really does bring people together.
Can I also piggyback off of that Akira comment, man? I have never collectively seen so many people come together for one human being as much as they did when he passed away. Because man, he had an impact on so many of us. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd have Naruto. I don't think we'd have One Piece. We sure as hell wouldn't have Demon Slayer and all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And
it's generational. His impact was generational because last night, Friday nights I usually hang with my two sons, so we were kind of hanging last night, and we're all impacted by this. And I'm like, these are my sons that are feeling the same thing I'm feeling because of this man's, passing. And it's the same way with wrestling. and it's such a cool thing. So
Yeah. I know definitely I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. George, you've been a lifelong wrestling fan. Chris, you're close to it. But that's what is so beautiful about this. And George, like you said, seeing somebody walk down the street, I think one of the coolest things for me was like walking down when I lived in Alaska, walking around playing Pokemon Go, and fucking you see somebody like back when I used to enjoy the Bullet Club, seeing somebody with a Bullet Club shirt on, you walk around and be like, "Too sweet, me bro," and "Too sweet," and like that's an instant connection. I have friends that I met playing Pokemon Go because of wrestling, right? And like so, it's just really cool to be able to collectively share that and share those moments together. And that's what I tried to explain to my girlfriend. I said, "Hey, look, right? Like WrestleMania is cool. It's a Super Bowl of wrestling, but it's a collective of
yes, it's a
fans.
gathering. It's a
It's a
gathering.
gathering. It's a gathering of fans. It's almost ritualistic if you think about it, right? We go into these events, we have a good time. And I said, I want to show you a different side because you get to see, on TV and watch it, but you don't get to actually feel the energy. No comparison. You get to feel the energy. You get to see some excitement. You get to see, what it's all about, man. And
it helps make new fans. I brought my new girlfriend to my event a couple months ago, and she's been at every one since. And she's never been to a wrestling event, and that was her first one. And I think she's just drawn to it. She says it's just something about it, So I kind of created a new fan. Now sometimes she will tell me, George, you're talking a little bit too much wrestling, but. I think she's finding a healthy spot. I think she appreciates it. She gets to feel the camaraderie and all that. And that's another cool thing because it's bringing new people into the fold and new people into the family, so to speak.
Right.
Absolutely. And we got a comment on Facebook. Chris, I fixed it. I fixed our problem. So Curtis Abrams.
This is my good friend Curtis Abrams. This man is like a brother to me. We talk wrestling for hours. And awesome. I think he would be great to have on sometimes. But I want him to grow his beard first. Grow your beard first, Curtis. Damn it.
All right. Curtis says going to a pro wrestling event really exudes that escapism that we all need from society that we're in right now. Going back to the Greensboro Coliseum was great to see Sting retire. Loved it. Didn't think about reality at the time. Going to wrestling events is such a needed therapy in the culture run right now.
Right.
Dude, I felt the same way when I went to the
Greensboro. Yeah, he went to Greensboro last week and saw that in person.
No.
Oh, I want to.
And then he added. He said, "I recommend to take your date to one and your family to one. No different than that. Going to a circus or a live event is breathtaking, unbelievable." Absolutely. And my buddy Matt Jones says, "I can see that." So yeah, the thing is. Hey, by the way, before we get going, thank you everybody for being here and commenting and watching with us. We really enjoy it. We love pro wrestling. This is what brings us together.
To add to Curtis's point, man, when I went to the Rumble, just like encountering as many people as we did in Tampa, St. Pete, and just, walking by somebody who's wearing a Rock shirt and I'll be wearing a Cody shirt or whatever. I don't remember what I was wearing. And he's like, "Oh, you're one of the Cody crybabies." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm just, I enjoy Cody more than I enjoy Rock, and that's right. That's not a dig at the Rock because obviously was a Rock fan 20 years ago, but I don't care to see what I saw 20 years ago in 2024.
Right.
But the Rumble was incredible. When Jade came out, man, I know everybody was trying to say the Rumble's sound on TV, sounding like everybody was quiet. People don't understand how baseball domes work because the acoustics are garbage in those arenas. But, man, when I tell you everybody in that arena erupted when she came out, that TV reaction does no justice.
Yeah. When I went to SummerSlam, a few years back, dude, it was really cool just being able to, like, regardless as to where you sit, this is what people don't understand. Regardless as to where you sit in the stadium is you're there in person, right? Like my girlfriend was like, "Oh, I want to get you good seats." I don't even care about the seats. I care about being there.
Right.
Being there in the moment. I went to SummerSlam a few years ago, and it was just awesome to be around other fans because it is very taboo to be around, to say I like wrestling.
Right. I think it used to be, but
I think it's still
and
kind of
you feel
borderline.
it's still kind of borderline. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting a lot better, but I think because we as fans though don't feel embarrassed about it anymore. We now, back when you used to kind of be a closeted fan, but like I'll proudly say it's in my blood. I grew up on Memphis wrestling. Nobody in Memphis would leave their house before 12 o'clock. It was like ritualistic. It was like church every Saturday. If you had to go to the barbershop, it was on wrestling. If you could go to get something to eat. And they're like, we know they're all friends behind the scenes, but you know what? Jerry Lawler is the baddest man in Memphis. It was so ingrained in that whole city that people that didn't live it don't understand it. And I want to be the first person to say, first of all, let's get men on a mission and Viscera and Surmo and Oscar into the Hall of Fame. I'm advocating for that today. But I think one thing they should do with the Mid-South Coliseum is make that the physical WWE Hall of Fame. It saves the building. It preserves the building that's steeped in Memphis history, and also it provides a physical place for the Hall of Fame. It's centrally located within the country. It's got roots. Why not do it? That city could use that boost. The WWE could use the good publicity. I'm saying that now. I'm the first one to say it. Hello, and let's spearhead something to make that happen because it'll really help the city and it'll help WWE them having a physical location. It'll save. And I'm from Memphis, and I know what that Coliseum means to the city. And they're fighting to tear it down. Some people are trying to keep it. You kill two birds with one stone. You solve two problems with one effort. So let's get Surmo, Men on the Mission, in the Hall of Fame, and let's save the Mid-South Coliseum.
I think with TKO owning WWE and everything now, I think a physical Hall of Fame is more possible than it ever has been.
Right. And it's the right time. And
they'll take what they're doing for the week. Yeah.
And plus, if they did that, I think it would take a lot off of what they're currently dealing with, and we all, the Vince McMahon stuff.
Right.
And I think it make them look good.
I think if you look at what they're doing for WrestleMania week, they're doing the World of WrestleMania. I mean, they're gonna have CM Punk there. They're gonna have Bianca. They're gonna have Charlotte. The names that are gonna be there that are announced are massive. Now, just imagine for a second that John Cena gets announced there, or anybody for that, anybody who's at that level of stardom. And a physical Hall of Fame, I definitely agree, would be one of the greatest things they could possibly do. And now that TKO has their hands on everything, I mean, we're seeing a difference in production. We're seeing a different camera angles, and
perception.
Everything is so much better under TKO Triple H.
Well, I hope TKO and Triple H are listening. Let's put a hotel in the Mid-South Coliseum. Let's put the Physical Hall of Fame there. Makes you guys look great, and it saves our city. So, hey, let's do something.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree anymore. Good buddy of mine, good buddy of mine, Isaac Witherspoon says, "Proud of you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everybody." So let's get to the topic. Before we dive into some other things, I want to say, Sting's retirement was needed, right? And we'll talk about Sting for a second. It was needed, regardless as to how we feel about the promotion. That man has been in professional wrestling longer than I've been alive, 4 decades, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Every promotion that he stepped in, with the exception to WWE, he's had a title. Whether it's a tag title, mid-card title, heavyweight title, he's done it all.
Right.
He's a WWE Hall of Famer, TNA Hall of Famer. It wouldn't be too far-fetched or too far removed to say that he'll be in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Right.
And then when AEW, if they are around long enough, put him in a Hall of Fame, right? That man is, Anyways, Sting's retirement was beautiful. I don't think what happened with after the pay-per-view, if you guys seen that, where Tony Khan pretty much was like, "You're a part of the greatest pay-per-view of all time.
Pay-per-view of all time, yeah.
It's fucking stupid. He didn't give Sting his flowers, which brings me to a point that, you know, this whole time has all been about Tony Khan. It hasn't been about anybody else. So before we get into the comment or, you know, everything, this is a topic, or this is a part of the segment that we call the great and illustrious F-bomb of the week.
Right.
F-bomb number one. It's fucking Tony Khan.
Yeah.
He wishes he got booze like that.
Yeah. Tony Khan, man. Tony Khan, man. I'm gonna hit this next comment here in a second. Afterwards, we're gonna finish this up. Tony Khan, man. I'm saying it now. Tony Khan, man, needs to get his ass off of Twitter.
Yes.
X, whatever it's called. He needs to remove his head from his fourth point of contact, which is his ass.
Yes.
And this man needs to hire somebody, a booker, that actually knows fucking professional wrestling to promote these shows. And lastly, this man needs to make a performance center, because people are going to seriously get fucking hurt. And we've seen it. We talked about Sammy Guevara and Jeff Hardy a few weeks ago. We talked, you know, we've talked about the fucking American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, who just continuously is injured through his whole career. Mox, you know, all these botches and blunders that are happening in AEW. He's going to get somebody hurt or worse.
Yep.
Right.
And he needs like this needs to happen. And I don't care if you're a AEW fanboy, WWE fanboy. The fact of the matter is like, outside of entertainment, you're putting people's lives at risk at a greater rate than you need to.
Bro, yes. Can we just talk about like how absolutely reckless that Darby spot was?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that brings us to our second point.
Oh, yes. The second F-bomb.
Go ahead.
I am just sick and tired of AEW fans defending stuff like this. That glass spot, man, like, yeah, he got pretty messed up, and it could have been a lot worse than what he got. But the fact that that glass went into the stands and AEW posts, oh, well, if you get injured or you get hurt by something a wrestler does, then it's not our responsibility. Okay, so if a fan dies, like, I know obviously that's an extreme, but if a fan dies in the arena, you're going to say it's not your responsibility? Like, come on, bro. There's kids that might be sitting front row that get glass in their eye, or, you know, heaven forbid it goes down their throat or something. You know what I mean?
But you know, someone's going to file some sort of action anyway, just for the simple fact that glass was involved, and you know, and that's fine. But I think it's irresponsible of a company like AEW to have that stance in today's litigious society, and it just smacks of sort of inept leadership. Like when Tony Khan came out and said that this was the greatest pay-per-view of all time, I cringed.
Yeah, it
was a cringe moment. And it's just like, give Sting his flowers, because if anybody deserved that kind of send-off, was him.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a matter of there's going to be some kind of action because of it. But AEW need someone other to either temper Tony Khan. I don't think totally get him out the way. I think he has great value to the company, but you can tell they're just hemorrhaging money. And earlier, earlier, Sean, you said depending on how long they're going to be around, they may not have a Hall of Fame.
Right.
You know, I think Tony Khan's heart's in the right place, but his head isn't.
Yeah.
He's a mark. He's
too
mark.
much of a fan. Yeah, he's a mark.
He's a fucking mark.
That's literally his problem. He's a damn mark.
Furman Jackson. Yep, says Tony wants to be wrestlers' friends more than their boss.
Facts, and that's why CM Punk was fired, because of that reason.
Mm-hmm. You know, now I'm gonna add to that too. Is everybody makes the distinction, like tries to say Triple H, you know, with his pictures up where he, you know, he's got his arm around talent that have won a title or signed a contract versus Tony Khan giving a full hug, and they're like, oh, there's no difference. There is a clear difference, right? Triple H is doing that from a place of being like a father figure to these talent, and most of the talent that he's brought in that have won championships, they consider him to be a role model, a mentor, right? So that is mentor to mentee versus Tony Khan, Mark, that's like, oh, I just got a mid-carder from WWE and I'm going to put him in a fucking stable and he's going to be an afterthought after he loses the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship.
Right.
How many talents has he done that to?
Oh,
Malachi Black is the biggest example of somebody who Triple H treated almost perfect in NXT.
Right.
And then he got the call up and Vince dropped the ball. I have no problem criticizing WWE. But when you brought him over to AEW and everybody's like, oh, well, Tony Khan's going to make him a world champion in a year. Okay. So he's there. How long has he been there now? 4 years now? Almost the entire company's existence. He hasn't done shit.
Nothing.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to some more comments. We'll address these comments. Curtis says, let's not get it twisted. You can slice and dice it as much as you want, but the biggest name in wrestling history, hands down, will always, and we will be Hulk Hogan. Without Hulk Hogan, no one, including Dwayne Johnson, will be recognized. This is truth, as much as we hate him. You have to thank Vince McMahon for ushering that quality of excitement and showmanship in the wrestling business that we know today. I agree. Curtis also says Sting's final match was emotional and sentimental, but the match of the year candidate, hands down, will be Ospreay and Takeshita. A must-see match. For me, personally, I'm not a fan of the flippy dip shit, right? And like I'm not going to take away from their athleticism. We also have a problem with that with Will Ospreay because he signed a contract with AEW, does 2 matches, 3 appearances, and then he goes back home. Right. That's what he wanted. That's why he signed with AEW, whatever. The problem that I have is like the flippy dip shit, right? To me, it's just like acrobatics. It is what it is. We all enjoy what we enjoy. I'm not going to criticize anybody for liking what they like. Chris, you have.
Can I make a comment, please?
Go ahead.
I'm going to try and say this as nice as humanly possible without hurting anybody's feelings. I watched highlights of that match. There was nothing about that match that could ever scream to me match of the year. And this isn't an insult at your boy. This is my opinion. I think when you do 400 spots in 2 minutes to kick out at 1, it's not a good match.
And the no selling.
Brother.
A match I go back every so often and watch is Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask. I think it's from 82 or 83. I just go back and watch just clips of it. And the thing that I realized, not only does their stuff look real, they're selling. Wow, he's actually taking time to recover. It's 3 spots later, and he's still selling the arm from 3 spots before. It has to make sense. Otherwise, it's like, I don't like the flippy dip stuff because it has to make sense to me. It has to feel like, okay, this is actual competition. Otherwise, it's just acrobatics. And like when I see all the flippy dip shit, I kind of just tune out.
I want to use 2 guys as an example.
Curtis said, understood.
I want to use 2 guys as an example. Dante Martin. I will start with him. No problems with him. I think he is one of the most athletically gifted guys of all time. I think he's incredible. That said, look at how he got hurt from doing a dumb-ass spot that could have cost him his leg and the rest of his career. Right. The second talent, Ricochet. What did he do before he got to WWE? 4,000 flips, 75 moonsaults, 800 kickouts, and look what happened when he came to WWE. He slowed down. He was forced to stop doing the 700 flips. Right. And he had to start selling. And he had to learn how to do promo. This is what pro wrestling is.
Right. Watch Ricky Morton to learn how to sell. Watch Ricky Morton. That will teach you how to sell. Watch Bobby Eaton. They'll teach you.
Hey, here, I'm gonna tell you probably my favorite sell job of all time.
Right.
Aleister Black, Malachi Black. He kept the eye thing going on to a different company.
Right.
To a different company. He sold that shit.
Yeah.
Right. And when they brought Buddy Matthews in, They even played it. They said this guy they had a feud in the other. Yes, somebody. Okay, all right. So he said pro wrestling or sports entertainment.
Sports
Understand it too.
Pro
In a
wrestling.
way, they're the same.
Yeah.
But he also says Furman
Facts.
says ring psychology is important. Very
Definitely.
important.
Definitely.
Ring psychology for me screams Jake the Snake Roberts, hands down.
Easily.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake.
Everything you do in that ring needs to make sense.
Right.
Jake
I'm
the
not
Snake.
telling you to like do a headlock for 20 minutes.
Yeah, because when I start booking, the first thing I do when Bobby Horn asks me to sit down and come up with something, the first thing I think it has to make sense. You know, doing 800 flips and doing 3 power bombs to kick out at one doesn't make sense. You know, things that used to be finishers are now just transitional moves. Kind of bring them back, slow it down a little bit, make everything mean a little bit more.
You know who's the best in-ring storyteller right now?
Who?
Gunther.
Right.
Gunther
Right.
and Ilya Dragunov
Right.
are the 2 best in-ring storytellers.
Right.
And I don't think anybody comes close. Not Roman, not Rock, not Cody's pretty good.
Yeah.
Seth is okay. I feel sometimes that weird line with, you know, just feel like his indie personality comes out sometimes in his matches. But I truly think Gunther and Ilya are the best of the best in ring storytellers right now.
I can tell you one of the better ones I've seen lately, and this is not being me being a hometown shield, but Dante Smiley, the way he works is so solid. Because I not only because I work for the promotion, because I got to be transparent, but he's with Sword Championship Wrestling in Dallas, Texas, run by Sir Mo. Check him out on YouTube. Check his videos out. He has a very unique working style that I don't see a lot of today as far as being a storyteller in the ring. And like I said, that's the thing that we all love about wrestling is matches that tell stories. Right. You can do 100 backflips and you know anything you want to do, but it can look good. But
like, let me ask you guys something. Mm-hmm. Out of all 3 matches that Rock and Austin had, the worst one, in my opinion, was the 3rd one. And only because of how overbooked it was for Rock to go over Austin.
Oh, yeah.
You watch the second one storytelling-wise, and Austin being anti-authority to join the authority, regardless of what happened after that, is arguably one of the greatest stories that Austin has ever told.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, stories.
Furman says Cody is old school, and he said I'm a fan of old school. I think
definitely, because like I said, I grew up on Memphis wrestling. That style of match, while it was wild, I tell you one thing. I watched a Jerry Lawler match from AWA, and it was just him working with a enhancement talent. But even that told a story. Even you can tell by every move added to something else. There was no wasted motion. There was no wasted time. Everything felt right. And I think we as fans appreciate a tightly knit, well-told wrestling match because you can do that with 2 guys that nobody knows. Right. But if you know how to work, you can tell a story even in 2-3 minutes. And that's one thing I think is lost.
Yeah, exactly my point. Austin was hurt, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Curtis
adds in. I want to add this in because this is why our show was created. Curtis says, "I love the way Bray Wyatt talked. He engaged the audience. True definition of ring psychology. What are a heel and a face? What are you, a heel or a face? Absolutely.
Right.
Blurred the lines.
I think Bray Wyatt, both as a human being and as a talent and as a passionate wrestler, is one of the greatest of this generation. And I'm not saying that because he's gone.
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying that purely for the simple fact that I truly think go back to the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah.
Best example of creativity. And for everybody, the pandemic was hard, especially wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
And I got to see Bray Wyatt's last WrestleMania appearance in Tampa. Absolutely. And regardless of how he went out, I truly think Bray is one of the best talents of all time.
Yeah.
Moving on to our final comment before we get into the results of this week. Furman, well, we got another one after this. I forgot. But Furman says WWE is retaining Jade right now because of AEW. Look, there's
Yeah,
so much.
they are retraining her because even I think in some circles, even she admitted that her training was not necessarily good.
Yeah.
I don't think they took a lot of time to train her. I think they didn't know how to train her. But at least now she's getting where she can get the adequate training so she can get herself over, be successful, and not hurt anyone.
I mean, look at
like
who
you
she
said,
had training.
AEW just needs a performance center.
Look at who they have training her in AEW. Daniel Bryan.
I don't know. I forgot who they had her working with.
Daniel
but
Bryan.
They need something more formal.
Yeah.
Where you can make sure guys are trained properly, not necessarily to adhere to any particular style, right, but know the basics, know the fundamentals, give them a chance to get back on track and when coming back from an injury. So they definitely need to invest in that.
I think when you got guys like, I believe it was Daniel Bryan who was training her before she left or something like that.
Yeah.
I think, and this isn't a knock at Daniel Bryan because I think he was at one point one of the best wrestlers, in-ring wrestlers at one point of his career. And I'm not saying that because he's in AEW. I just don't care about anything he's doing in AEW. That said, Jade is a special kind of talent.
Right.
We all knew she had star power, and I've never denied that even when she was in AEW. The problem is they Goldberged her. They gave her squash matches against literal nobodies. I mean, for God's sake, you had Britt Baker right there. Britt Baker. I hate Britt Baker with a burning passion. But they never once put those two in the ring because they know one of them would have been exposed. And 9 times out of 10, it would have been Britt because she can't carry a match to save her life.
Right.
And Jade because she wasn't that great in the ring. And we, as WWE fans, have always gotten shit on for criticizing Jade because, she's in AEW, so that's why you're saying that. I'm like, no, bro, you guys need to look past the tribalism and realize that almost 75% of that roster is dog shit in that ring. I'm sorry to say, but it's true.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point that Furman says. He says Daniel Bryan is reckless with this style of wrestling. Absolutely. And that's why we harken back to ever since he's been in AEW, every high profile match he's had, he's been injured. Yep. MJF, he got injured.
Weren't 2 of his worst injuries because of fucking Okada?
Yeah. Right. Okada, he was injured twice. MJF, he got injured. There's so many matches that he's had where he's gotten injured and he's just reckless. And then going back to Jade, he says, I like how Triple H is taking his time with Jade. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Furman is a really good guy. Consider him a friend. And he is absolutely right. Triple H is really going to change I think he's really going to change the way the guys are treated post-career.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see a lot less horror stories from guys that maybe didn't take care of themselves financially. I think he's instituting things like that. I really think he's going to take care of the business, take care of the workers, take care of everybody because he was one of the boys. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's been missing in this business is somebody that was not only one of the boys, but can appreciate what they go through.
Look at all the talent that have gotten released since Triple H has been let go. And I mean, since Triple H started there. Right. And it's not a knock at those people that were part of the company, but none of them brought anything to the table. They were all Vince people. Look at fucking, what was his face? Madcap was horrible. I am sorry. There was nothing you could do to save that man's career. He had the personality of a wet mop.
Let me ask you this. How long do you
personality trait was Emma?
Right. How long do you guys think Bruce Pritchard is going to last? How much longer do you think he's got?
Not much.
You know what? I'm probably going to be the most unpopular person saying this. I don't have a problem with Bruce.
That's not matter having a problem, but him being that close to that Vince stuff,
See, but is he close to it, though? You know what I mean? He could have been close to Vince that had no part in it.
Right. It's not that he had part in it, but him being so close to Vince, he's going to probably end up getting deposed.
Not wanting to harp on the Vince thing, but did you hear JR's response on Vince?
I think I listened to part of it.
My jaw went on the ground.
What did he say?
Okay, so to paraphrase, this man basically said we need to move on. There's something we can build off of positive and just move forward and just basically not defending Vince, but basically like we need to move on from this. Like what? brother. What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm just gonna say this. I have a feeling that he is gonna get roped into it, JR.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because he was so close to Vince. And I'm not saying
think
that.
he
I love
turned a
JR.
blind eye on a lot of shit.
You gotta realize he and John Laurinaitis had the same job. So they
Yeah.
would both be acting in that circle, in that capacity.
Yeah.
And Furman says, got to give Vince his cigars for being the Walt Disney of wrestling.
I think he makes Walt Disney look like a freaking saint.
Yeah.
All right. So Curtis says, can I get you guys your comments on Logan Paul and his impact on WWE and Bad Bunny as well? Look,
Perfection.
I'm gonna say this right here. Those are the two most not influential, but they care the most about professional wrestling out of any celebrity I have ever seen step foot in that ring. You know,
we have and respect it.
Yeah, right. Like Logan Paul is athletically gifted, regardless as to where you put him. The man is MMA trained.
Hold on, I got you.
You know, and then on top of that, like Logan Paul brings something different to the table, right? And then we're going into Bad Bunny, right? Bad Bunny, I thought Bad Bunny's was going to flop at fucking WrestleMania.
Everybody
I was like, oh, this is going to be garbage.
And you know who started that narrative? Dave Meltzer.
Yes,
exactly,
dude. He went in the ring and he pulled off shit that I didn't even think that he was capable of doing. Right. And then his match with Damian Priest in Puerto Rico. Was it Puerto Rico? Yeah, it was Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Let's talk about the entrance.
God damn it.
In what, out of every talent, from Hulk Hogan to John Cena to The Rock, there has never been an entire arena singing a person's song. I don't care what anybody says. There has been no freaking arena in another country that has sang every word to this man's entrance.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, he brought something different into the fold, right? And I just like the fact that he trained, right? Like he trained in the ring for every appearance that he's been in. He took bumps that he didn't have to take. He went through a fucking announce table, bro. Like you don't have to do that. Yeah, you're a megastar, right? Furman says, I respect Logan Paul. He does respect the business, and Bad Bunny respects the wrestling business.
I'm going to say this about Logan Paul. I have never seen a celebrity come in with as much respect for the business as he has had to get better in every aspect. Dude, go back to the Elimination Chamber spots. Both of the off-camera spots that man was able to help pull off with Randy Orton was arguably some of the best production I've ever seen from WWE. Like, this man knocked Randy Orton out cold with brass knuckles. I think the only thing that he's missing is a little bit better on the promo, but he's not bad. He understands everything. And also, he created a pretty bomb-ass drink, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, I really appreciated his Saudi match with Roman. That was really a special thing because that's when you really got the feeling, oh, this guy actually gives a damn.
Yep.
And that was a cool thing to see. I think before, like I grew up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and all that. I'm 46. So I was there when you had the Bob Ueckers coming in to WrestleMania, and it was all kind of tongue-in-cheek, week. We know this is all the work. This is all, but they didn't have that respect for it. And it's nice to see celebrities now having respect for it. And I think the boys appreciate it. I haven't heard a lot of, you don't hear a lot of bitching about celebrities being involved now because the guys are coming in with the right attitude and right effort. But before you would hear, oh, why are you giving Bob Uecker or Drew Carey my spot?
Yeah.
So I think
you know what the biggest difference is between celebrities now and celebrities then? Vince McMahon.
Yeah. It's less cornball. I think WWE has got better about
what they did with
why?
What was that football player's name that was in WrestleMania? They signed him for like literally a drink of water.
Gronk. LT? Oh,
Gronk.
Yeah.
Gronk, yeah.
Yeah.
And they showed that documentary of Vince like showing him how to bump, and then nothing ever became of it after that WrestleMania. So I think Vince had the right idea on how to bring celebrities in, but Triple H has a better understanding of what he would want those talents to do, especially if they love the business.
Absolutely.
And I think Triple H gets a better idea of how to get what he wants out of the talent.
Exactly.
And I think he's smart enough to realize if I'm not good at this, let me bring someone in who is good at it to work with. So I think I think Triple H not only has a mind for the business, but how to run the business.
Right.
And since he's been taking over, man, you hear about guys being happy. You hear about improved morale, and I'm loving it right now. So, they need to definitely keep him in charge. I hope TKO kind of stays hands off with him and kind of lets him do what he needs to do.
And it seems like they have been pretty hands off.
Yeah, it seems like they have been, but let's hope they keep it up. I think things are going good so far. I'm probably gonna, get a couple shares of TKO stock and, support what I love. But I'm happy where things are going.
I think the best thing I've heard.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm gonna put this up here. If we get removed from YouTube, oh well. Furman says Vincent supposedly had sex toys named after wrestlers in a lawsuit against him. Yes, I read that, and the things that I read were fucking disgusting. Like,
but I also want to point out too, the fake allegation thing that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Messages.
Okay. Yeah.
We are in that world of technology where it could happen. I'm not defending Vince. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
Yeah. So also, Curtis says that Drink Prime sign poster is going to be in the center of the WWE wrestling ring for PLE events. I ain't got a problem with it. UFC doesn't.
I think the size of it, I don't think it's going to be that much of an eyesore. I think that was just for promotional reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And my buddy D Paul says Jimmy Superfly Super. All right. We've been almost 45 minutes live. We have not got to the results of the week. All right, let's get to the results of the week. Monday Night Raw. God damn, they opened up with Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio.
Right.
Okay, look, Chris and I were texting during this, and I was like, Dom, fucking Gunther's about to abuse Dom, and he was like, but is he? Let me tell you, what I seen from it, I was like, Gunther beat the dog shit out of fucking Dom. You beat the dog shit out of him. But respect to Dom. Respect to Dom for taking those bumps that he did. God.
And everything you hear about Dom is always positive. It's always he's got a great attitude. He's a hard worker. I'm excited to see where he goes with his career. But, you never hear anything negative about the guy. So, he went in there, took his lumps like he's supposed to, and didn't complain about it.
And I think he's the first wrestler in history to get booed at his own wedding.
Yes, I was about to say that. Dom is the biggest heel to get booed at his wedding, man. Like that's
new level unlocked.
New level of awesome. Dude, yeah, I had nothing wrong with this match. I thought it was perfect. Dom got his ass beaten. Got his ass beaten. So next we had Nia Jax against our defeated Becky Lynch via disqualification. We had an interference from what's her name? Liv Morgan. It says Alexa Bliss on here, and I'm like, no, that Alexa Bliss ain't even back yet. What are you talking about?
Probably not gonna be back for the next Royal Rumble.
Right. It's CBS. I'm reading from CBS Sports, so they completely got that wrong. But dude, I'll say this, and George, I want to get your opinion of this. Chris agrees with me. This work Nia Jax is doing now since she's been back is head over fucking anything that she's ever done, and I enjoy watching Nia Jax.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think what made the difference, I think she needed to break from a mental health standpoint, looking at things she says, and me being a mental health advocate. But let's not fool ourselves. She's back because The Rock is back. But I think what they've done with her since she's been back, and I think her effort, I think she feels rejuvenated, and you can see it. Her work is better. They're utilizing her a lot better. So I enjoy watching her.
Is better.
Yeah, I enjoy watching her. She's not as, I don't think she's not as reckless. You don't hear about people getting hurt anymore. She looks like she's in a lot better shape, a lot better condition, and like she's enjoying this run. And that's always going to make the difference with talent. If they enjoy what they're doing, it's always going to go over way better than when they don't.
Right.
Yeah. I think that we're gonna see we're not going to see a one-on-one match with Becky and Rhea at Mania. I think that they're going to throw Nia Jax and Liv Morgan in that because fans are rallying behind Liv Morgan with the hashtag We Want Liv. And Nia Jax is just a monster heel, dude. Like they're booking her the way that she should be booked, and it's pretty good. Chris, you got any comments?
So, I think doing a fatal 4-way would be a mistake in terms of
it would be.
Rhea and Becky is the money match, whether people like Becky or not, because that has been a talking point for the last 5 years that Becky has been given way too many opportunities, just like Charlotte. That being said, I don't think anybody could give Rhea a better match right now than Becky could give her. Because remember, they said the same thing about Bianca and Becky, and what happened? They tore the freaking house down.
Yeah.
They said that Trish and Becky was a dog shit feud, and what happened? They tore the house down. Yeah. And the common denominator? Becky Lynch. Regardless if these people like her or not. And I think it has a lot to do with who her husband is, because there's been a lot of anti-Seth Rollins people the last couple of years too.
Right. Yeah. Furman, along the lines of what we're talking about, when they put the money when they put the women's championship on Liv, she bombed. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it was a product of her being in a program with Ronda, and like notorious Ronda is hard to work with.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was she made a champion before or after Triple H was made leader? Wasn't it like just on the cut?
Yeah. So Vince was still in charge, and then Triple H took over, and she was right there in the middle.
I'm just gonna say this because I'm a really big Liv Morgan fan, and meeting her solidified how much of a fan I am as her as a human being. Right. I don't think she bombed. I think the IWC they want the Rock level caliber talents on every single championship that there is to have. That being said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like she's the Trish Stratus of the women's division, because that would be both unfair to Liv and unrealistic of Liv. But I truly think, again, it goes back to leadership. If you're not having a leader who's telling you what you need to improve, because I highly doubt Vince is giving constructive criticism to them, I truly don't see. But okay, Big E Langston is a great example. I love that he was a champion. And everybody could argue that he bombed too, because the ratings were low when he was a champion too. Now, let's flip it on the other side of the coin. Triple H booking Big E would have been a completely different animal. Triple H booking Liv Morgan would have been a completely different animal.
Mm-hmm. And this leads into the next point. He said that they made Liv look like a weak champion. I agree.
They did.
My point exactly.
Right. But they put her in a program with Ronda, and then had Ronda turn heel. Which, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But Ronda's notorious for being hard to work with, right?
Yeah, she's kind of like the wet blanket of the women's division. It's kind of like everything she gets involved with, it just kind of gets soggy and kind of goes away. That's kind of how I see her. I used to have a crush on her like 20 years ago, but it's like, it's like the plug. Yeah. She's kind of white. She's kind of like, yeah, you guys don't like me, and I know. And it's just like,
sounds like Squidward.
She does sound like Squidward. So. And that's not a knock against her, but it's just her style was just so bland.
She came out and said wrestling was fake.
Because that's the only way to get a heel reaction instead of go away heat.
Right. And that's when I stopped supporting her, is when she said wrestling was fake. Not that I think that is real, but there are elements of realism to it.
This is the one media that this strikes me as funny, where people expect you to be bothered by the fact that it's not necessarily real. We don't go to the movies and tell the person next to us, this is all fake. We don't do that. So
Luke and Darth Vader never existed. No, really?
Yeah, they're not related. Oh my goodness. It's kind of like they love to tell us that. They get so smug. Wrestling is fake. I enjoy it anyway. So what?
Ronda's mic skills suck. Yep.
Ronda was dog shit.
Yeah. And
women's division, trust me.
Flaming dog of dog shit.
and then we're gonna tag into one of her old friends, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeated Katana Chance and Kaden Carter.
That match was actually good.
It was.
Yeah.
But God, Shayna is terrible.
I love Shayna Baszler. I think they need to do something with her.
They are falling into what happened with Ronda.
Exactly.
Ronda got content and she got complacent, and that's where Shayna's at. There is no program that can save Shayna Baszler.
Yep.
She is beyond saving.
Yep. Furman says the injuries in wrestling are real. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, true.
Next we had Adam Pearce announced that next Monday there's going to be a gauntlet match that features Sami Zayn, Ricochet, Nakamura, Bronson Reed, JD McDonough, and Chad Gable for the number one contendership for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania.
Banger.
Woo!
Right.
Banger.
That is going to be a good match. All of those dudes have been phenomenal in the ring. They all deserve it, right? So prediction time. Who do you think is going to take it, George?
I don't know. It depends on what. I can't say right now. I don't know. Sometimes this is probably one of those instances where I just want to turn my brain off and just see what happens. And I try not to predict every match. I don't want to always know who wins. I just kind of want to just watch it and turn my brain off. Just be like, okay, whatever happens, happens.
Who do you want to win? Who do you want to win?
Don't care.
All right.
It's just, I'm fine either way on that one. That's not one of those feuds I really am, or things I'm really paying that much attention to. Chris. I'm much more interested in kind of what they're going to do at the top of WrestleMania, but we'll get to that.
Right. All right. So, Chris, who do you think? Who do you want to win?
I really enjoyed Gunther being in a triple threat last year's WrestleMania. I think it proved that he can handle a multi-man match and it still being a really good fucking match. I wouldn't mind another multi-man match. I think Chad Gable is I want to win because I think Chad probably made his point the strongest out of everybody. Yeah. But out of everybody else that's in that match, Bronson is incredible, man. He has
he is
progressively gotten better.
Yeah.
But my only thing with Bronson is could he keep up at a WrestleMania caliber level match? And I mean terms of stamina wise. Because obviously he's a bigger guy. Yeah. But I feel his stamina still isn't up to par. Especially with a guy like Gunther. Yeah. So who do I want to win? Chad. What do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to get another multi-man match.
I think Gunther. But, the thing is about conditioning, it'll always be improved. So if he wants to make that effort, I'm sure, Triple H being a worker too, he'll understand, hey, let's get your conditioning up to par. I don't think you're going to see a lot of those problems in WWE going forward or really anywhere going further. The guys are pretty good about keeping in shape. It's not like when you had the territories and you might get a guy drinking a beer on the way to the ring.
Yeah. Curtis says Chad Gable is my hero. And Furman says Chad Gable can be the Kurt Angle of this generation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question about Chad Gable. Do you guys think Alpha Academy hurts him?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, for a while it didn't, but I think now it's starting to hurt him.
I think we're finally getting to the point of either somebody needs to take that spot or they need to disband because I love Otis. I think the world of him as a human being. I think he is very passionate and wholesome human being. I just don't really see him beneficial to somebody like Chad Gable anymore.
Yeah.
No, they need to present him in a more serious way.
Yeah.
They really need to. And it's time. I think Otis will be fine on his own.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be headlining WrestleMania, but he should be at least good mid to high mid card.
I mean, him and Tozawa could be a tag team.
Right. But I think they need to go ahead and pull the trigger on Chad Gable because I've been impressed with him for a long time, and I think I think he can come into his own as a character. But it's time to present him in a more serious way.
Yeah.
I think what really gets me is if you look at this lineup, there's one name missing
Ivar.
that I think should have been it. And it's because he's been in this program with all these guys, and it was Ivar, right? They left him
Right.
out. Now is that because Eric's coming back,
I
or I don't. I'm indifferent either way.
I
The
like
fact
Eric,
is,
but the War Raiders are really hard to invest in.
Right.
yeah, I agree. But I think I'm going to go along with you guys. I'd love to see Chad Gable go for it, and I'd love to see him
Right.
in the run.
Right.
Few comments to Chad Gable works a lot better as a face because everyone loves the underdog story. Yes, I agree.
Yes. And he's proven he can pull off those big spots too when needed to.
Yep.
Roman won to drop the championship earlier.
Yep. So Furman says I read a rumor that Roman wanted to drop the championship earlier on, but was talked into keeping the championship. So we covered this, I think, 2 weeks ago. No, we didn't. I watched a video where supposedly he was going to drop the championship last year at Mania, but because TKO and WWE signed the deal, they wanted to keep the title on Roman because he was already an established champion. You don't want a new champion coming into the role. Yeah, it makes sense. But we'll get into the Roman debacle here in a little bit. Next, we had Andrade versus Apollo Crews. Phenomenal match.
Banger.
Great match. This proves once again why Andrade deserves to be in WWE.
Right.
And we also seen where he checked up on Dom. And I have a theory that Andrade is gonna join Judgment Day, but he's gonna kick out Priest. And we're gonna see a solo Priest run. Could happen.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
Next we had Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest against Imperium.
Great match.
That was, god damn it!
Hell out of each other.
So sorry. I missed a comment and I meant to address it. So Furman says, "What about mental health and the Von Erichs?" Look, man, and I think Furman asked about our thoughts on Iron Claw. I watched Iron Claw for the first time this past week. I wanted to see it in theaters, but I ended up wanting to see it in the comfort of my home.
Right.
Personally, with me, man, watching it and then knowing the story of the Von Erichs, like, I think their mental health was not in a good place at all. Right. Yeah. From Fritz, pretty much instilling them that you have to work until it fucking kills you.
Right.
Put them in the ground. Right.
Well, let's say this too. As a mental health advocate, and as in my capacity as an advocate and CEO and founder of my own nonprofit, I think what can't be ignored, there had to be a genetic component to that also. And I think a lot of times we don't think about the genetic components and the biological components involved in mental health. So for that to be that rampant in that family, I believe they went back and were able to look into it. They would find a genetic component that contributed to what happened.
Yeah. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
I thought, the Von Erich story, I wasn't really familiar with it before that movie. And, I did some research before seeing the movie. So I knew the story was very tragic. To piggyback off of George's point, they contributed to that cycle. They kept that cycle of you got to work until the wheels fall off kind of mentality. And I hope that the kids that are in AEW or Ring of Honor, whatever the hell they're working on now, I hope they have a better mentality about them than they did the parents and the ones before them had. But that Iron Claw was a very powerful movie, and I appreciate what was that actor? That was Zach, right?
Zac Efron,
Zac Efron, man, wow. I was blown away by how great he did in that role.
Honestly, I think that the roles should have switched. He should have played Kerry, and the other guy should have played Kevin. Personally, because Zac Efron looked like Kerry Von Erich. or
Right.
and the other guy looked like Kevin Von Erich. But regardless, man, it was a phenomenal movie. And my girlfriend, who's not a huge wrestling fan at all, was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
Right. Like she was blown away by how much it had on, how much of an effect it had on her. But also, I think Chris, we spoke and we talked about how MJF's parts got cut. There is one part in there where where I seen his face and I was like, okay, and that's when Kevin was forced to tag team with somebody else that was not a Von Erich, and that was MJF's character. I did pick that out because I was looking for it. Curtis says, loved Iron Claw. You remember, George, I was telling you to watch the movie for a mental health reason. And in terms of family bonding and parental abuse.
Right. Curtis has been on me to watch it. I just hadn't had time. I'll definitely watch it this weekend because I am a mental health and just to get that insight on it. But even one of the boys was telling me that saw it said that's how it really is. He was mentioning the part that where they told somebody, hey, you're just out. We just got to book this guy in your place. And he said that's exactly how it is. And all the boys that I've known that talk to me say, hey, it was pretty accurate. It was pretty spot on in terms of how it is. So I think that lends to the authenticity of the movie and why it's doing so well critically.
Absolutely. Furman says Mike Von Erich did not want to wrestle or want to be a wrestler, but Fritz forced him to wrestle. Yes, and that that could have led to what happened with him. And then he also says Kerry was a muscular guy. I agree. Yes, Kerry was. And then he also said further up that he didn't know that Kerry had lost his leg in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
And so like when he was crutching out to the kitchen, you seen that. Well, I'm sorry to spoil it for you, George, but you see that spot where like he has no leg past his knee. I was like, holy shit, they showed that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty cool. They kept it as historically accurate as they could.
And I'm actually in Denton right now, so which is funny.
So back to Raw, we had Sami Zayn defeat Ivar via pinfall after a haluva kick. Solid match.
I have a thought for Sami Zayn.
Go ahead.
I think Sami is one of the best baby faces of this generation, and I think he's a great in-ring talent. But something has always felt like it's been missing from his character, and I can't really put my finger on it. And the reason I say that is because, okay, you put him in the bloodline, and he was the comedy guy. He was the comedy wrestler. You take him out of the bloodline, and what happened? They put him with Kevin again, because Kevin, I feel, is the more charismatic of the two.
Right.
And Kevin shined brighter than Sami again. I don't think Sami really stands out to me anymore. And I hate saying that about him because he's great. But something is missing in terms of me being interested in anything he brings.
Right.
I agree.
Well, one thing we got to keep in mind though is that nobody, wrestling does not have an off season. They go 365, right. And at some point there's gonna be a lull in interest in a guy. He's gonna get cold. He's gonna get hot, and maybe this is one of those cooling periods for him.
Like, look, super unpopular, but when he was doing the conspiracy theory stuff, I thought that was great. Yeah. And when he feuded with Johnny Knoxville, bro, that's one of my favorite comedy matches of all time.
Right. I think that he should go away. And this might be a little bit unpopular with you, Chris, but I think he should go away and come back as El Generico to give himself a break.
See, but my thing with El Generico is how the hell would you get him over with a main roster crowd? Because then we would have to give Triple H that same argument that we give Tony Khan. Oh, well, you're expecting everybody to know an indie gimmick. You know what I mean?
True. Like, I think if they could use some innuendo, maybe a couple backstage promos where someone mentions the name El Generico. Fans nowadays, they're going to go Google it. They're going to know about it. Give them 2 weeks, and El Generico could be over in a week. If you do it.
Right. So Furman says, what's y'all's view on Ric Flair movie from The Rock's movie production? I didn't know that they were. I didn't know that they were making a Ric Flair movie.
Yeah. I just heard about it the other day.
Hopefully,
I will say.
Right.
Get
I
the
will
guy
say-
from Karate Kid, Johnny from Karate Kid, to play Ric Flair.
I will
think
say
he
that
marked a certain points in his life.
the guy that they cast as Ric Flair in the Iron Claw was dog shit.
He was
Dog
horrible.
Fuck. I was like, this is not anywhere close to Ric Flair. It's
Bro.
more like David Flair.
I literally almost walked out of the theater because I'm like, I really hope this promo isn't that long because oh my god,
Right.
I've never been so embarrassed in my life.
It's fucking garbage.
I'm submitting my first casting choice. I think to play Ric Flair. I think the guy from you know who I'm talking about, Johnny from the Karate Kid. He's in the new one. I think he can play a good Flair at certain points in his life, and plus he kind of looks like him.
You know, for historical accuracy, you know who they should cast as Ric Flair?
David Flair.
Joey Ryan.
I guess. But from what we've heard, yeah, that would make sense.
That way the plane ride from hell is actually accurate, you know, with the dick flipping.
Yeah.
God damn. All right. And then the main event of Raw, we had Jey Uso against Drew McIntyre. Again, solid match. Drew picks up the dub as he should have. So he picked up the dub because Jimmy came in, cost Jay the match. So I think we're going to be getting Jimmy versus Jay at Mania.
I really like the low-key storytelling there with the Bloodline and Drew because he's like, I don't want you guys helping me every time. And when it comes to WrestleMania, is he going to be able to do it against Seth? Because he's not going to have the Bloodline getting his back.
Right. Well, I think we may see new members of the Bloodline come in at Mania.
Yeah,
I agree.
I actually met one potential new member, Jacob Fatu. Really nice guy. Mm-hmm. Really nice guy.
I have a theory on the Bloodline rules. So what if Rock and Roman go over night one? Now, whatever happens after that, the Bloodline rules also stipulations for Seth's title too. That way, that's how Drew wins the title.
Yeah, could work.
Furman says, so y'all think Seth will drop the title at Mania? Yes.
100%.
He has to. It's either through Drew or cash in by Damian Priest. I'm one of the two. Either way, somebody is getting crowned champion. Dude, Seth needs time off, and I'm not saying that he's not a great champion. He is phenomenal. I enjoy his work.
It's time.
Yeah. Give him a break so it doesn't break down long term.
God damn. All right. So this is the point in the show where we turn the show over to Chris. Chris is an NXT aficionado. He watches NXT. I don't, not because I don't enjoy it. I just got things going on at that time. So, Chris, what happened on NXT?
So we had NXT Roadblock, the very last PLE themed television show called Roadblock. We started the event off with Dijak against Joe Gacy in an Asylum cage match. We got to see Dijak do a freaking moonsault off the top of a steel cage. Arguably one of the craziest spots I think I've ever seen a man of his size do. Dijak came out of that match, and Gacy, he didn't no-sell, but he was a psychopath like every big spot that Dijak did. He was just smiling and got put in a straitjacket and got thrown into a table. I mean, the match is phenomenal. I think people need to start putting respect on Joe Gacy's name. Right. I'm not a big CZW guy, but man, Joe Gacy is a blast to watch in that ring because he has progressively gotten better over the years. And the first time I saw him get better was at Deadline in 2022, where they did the Iron Survivor match. And Gacy is just so well-rounded in that ring, and he understands psychology. He understands storytelling. So, really big Joe Gacy, really big Dijak fan. I think it's time for Dijak to get a title. He needs a title in the worst way. Next up, we had the NXT Tag Team Championships, the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker, and Baron Corbin against Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson. Wolf Dogs won. Braun Breaker, man, he is not a human being. I have never seen somebody his size move as fast as he freaking does. This man stood on the apron and did a dive over the freaking announce table to clothesline somebody. It was crazy. But of course, Braun Breaker and Baron retained. Next up, we had Shawn Spears make his NXT ring debut against Brogan Finlay, which, it's Finlay's son who just came over from New Japan. Very solid match, and I'm telling you right now, Shawn Spears is going to be something special. He was Ty Dillinger before the Perfect 10, and Vince dropped the ball on him because, that's what Vince does. The promos that Shawn Spears cuts had me in awe because I'm like, where the hell was this the whole time in AEW? I don't remember anything special he did in AEW other than a non-protected chair headshot to Cody Rhodes. That's literally all I remember. But next week we're going to have Shawn Spears against Ridge Holland. I think that's going to be a very special match. Then we had the Kabuki Warriors against Tatum Paxley and our NXT Women's Champion Lyra Valkyria. Great match. I think Tatum really came out in that match. She proved that she could stand on the same level as a former champion in Asuka and Kairi Sane. It looked like Kairi Sane got maybe a little messed up in one point in the match. I'm not really sure where it happened, but Kairi understands ring psychology, and it's something that isn't talked about quite enough. But Kairi Sane is fantastic. But the Kabuki Warriors retained. Another really good match. Then we had Fallon Henley against Blair Davenport. Fallon took the W on that. Then we had Roxanne jump Lyra Valkyria after the tag team match. So we're going to have Roxanne and Lyra somewhere down the road, but it seems like Roxanne has finally turned full-blown heel, and she basically snapped Lyra's arm. It was pretty freaking crazy. Then we had the Quarter Catch Club come out with the Heritage Cup. Charlie Dempsey, for those of you who don't know, is William Regal's son. William Regal came out to confront his son and says, I hope you defend that title with honor like our family has over the last couple generations. And really cool to see William Regal confront his own flesh and blood. Sol Ruca also returned. It was just an all-around good show, man. We also had Tony D against Carmelo Hayes. And Tony D is a guy who came into NXT 2.0 hot as ever. And everybody saw the potential he had, and he got hurt. And they just dropped the tag team titles to Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. And now he is in line to have a title match against Ilya Dragunov at Stand and Deliver. I think this is going to be one of the hardest hitting matches that Tony D has ever had. He's a big football guy. So Ilya, I think, is going to humble that man. But great match. Trick Williams came back and beat the shit out of Carmelo. So it looks like we're going to have Melo and Trick at Stand and Deliver as well. This has been a pretty crazy road to WrestleMania on all three shows. So NXT was great, man.
Awesome. Okay, Curtis says, what are your guys' opinion on Brock Lesnar? Has he changed the business for the good? And what about his characterization? Look, so I appreciate Brock's in-ring work. I think what he did with his comeback, I think it was 2012, maybe 14. I think it was 14. That reign of terror that Brock had when he came out and he beat the piss out of Cena and then ended the streak. I personally think the streak should have been ended by Bray, but it is what it is. It happened with Brock, and we can't go and change time. I think him putting over talent that need to be put over, like Roman and Cody, I think it was great. These allegations against him, if it is true, it's terrible. If it's not, hey, what it is, what it is. But
here's the confusing part of the Brock Lesnar thing is he wasn't named in doing anything wrong.
No.
And If he's taking part in said trafficking, then yes, erase him like you did Benoit.
Yeah.
But he's not being investigated. He's
Nope.
not being brought into court for anything. Like, there's no solid evidence that has done anything. But where as a society have we gotten to where we're just canceling people before they're proven guilty and or innocent?
Right. That's something I bring up quite a bit. Innocent until proven guilty. All right, so we are going to jump into SmackDown last night. We had a promo from Logan Paul. Great promo. We talked about it earlier on in the broadcast. Prime is now going to be a promoter for WWE. They did a partnership. They have a piece of the canvas at every PLE. Cool. That's awesome. Then Logan Paul brought out KSI, talked a bunch of shit about how he knocked out Randy Orton. Randy's music played. Randy came to RKO Logan. Logan got out of the way. KSI backed up into Randy and ate that RKO. It's pretty cool to see.
Bro,
and then Randy
can we just talk about like how perfect of a sell KSI did with that RKO, bro?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Perfect. And then Randy took the Prime that was in the ring and poured it on KSI's pants like he pissed his pants.
Yep.
So pretty cool. Though following the first match on the card was Randy Orton and KO versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Obviously, we know who's going to win. Pretty solid match. Very entertaining. After the match, we seen Logan Paul try to use the brass knucks on Randy. Randy grabbed him, went to hit Logan with him, and Logan moved out the way, and KO was right there. No contact was made, but it's planting seeds. We could see a triple threat at WrestleMania.
Right.
Could.
I'm just going to say this about that tag match, man. Grayson Waller is so damn good at what he does, and he doesn't have to do a lot, which blows my mind. Because when you think of like talent that does like minimum effort, it's like, okay, I don't want to see that guy on my TV. But Grayson, the mannerisms, the facial expressions, his timing, like, bro, I think Grayson is going to be a mega star in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. George, what do you think?
I agree with him about Grayson Waller. He kind of reminds me of I tell you another guy who had really good heel charisma. That was Brian Christopher. So he kind of reminds me of that as far as having that natural heel heat. So I do agree he's going to be a big star in the next 2-3 years.
Absolutely. The next match we had Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross ended in disqualification. Bobby Lashley picked up the dub after Authors of Pain attacked Lashley and pretty much beat the shit out of them, Lashley and Street Profits. Right. Pretty solid. I didn't think it should have ended in DQ.
I disagree.
You think so?
I 100% disagree. It protects both guys. Right. Neither one of them is eating a pinfall. And if Triple H is wanting a payout from this match, from this feud, we need to see a full-blown 1-2-3 count on whoever's taking that pinfall at whatever event they're planning on doing. Because Bobby deserves a WrestleMania spot. Karrion definitely deserves a WrestleMania spot. Yeah. And I think this reinvigoration, reinvention of his character of Karrion Kross has been the strongest he has ever been booked, including his NXT title reign.
Right.
I agree.
What
about you, George? What do you think?
I think Karrion needed something new. I think this has been the right thing for him. I'm a fan of a guy. It just seemed like it took him a while to kind of find something that worked for him. And that's one thing, too. We as fans are sometimes impatient. We don't want to give a guy a chance to kind of mature and learn. Like with Roman Reigns, you saw it's about a solid 4 years he was booed out of every arena. But now he found his way and what works for him. And we need to let guys take their time to get to that point and be a little bit more patient. And that's because we don't have territories anymore for guys to go and learn. Right. You know, used to be by the time, guys got to the big stage, they were a little bit more polished because they had been around and been to territories, and we don't have that anymore.
I think the biggest thing with Karrion has always been inconsistency in his booking.
Right.
Yeah.
And when they pieced together all the inconsistency and all the losses he has taken into storyline, I think that helped him a lot because, he ruined Drew McIntyre and turned him a heel. He ruined Rey Mysterio and his son walked out on him. And, all the little tiny pieces that were put together. And whether the rumor with him and Bray that was supposed to, happen, only God knows how special of a feud that would have been.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, and if you look at it, like we as wrestling fans always say, this person needs this person needs that, but it's not necessarily always it. But I think Chris and I have been saying like Karrion needs a stable, right? Because not saying that he's not intriguing as a character, but it only adds to
him.
Adds to the character if you have a stable. And AOP has done nothing but add to that mystique that is Karrion Kross and Scarlett. So I mean, I think honestly, like this has been a blessing for Karrion Kross.
And to add to that, they had a promo segment after the show, catching up with Karrion and talking about like attacking Bobby and everything. And his reply was, Montez should be the leader of the Pride, but Dawkins is dragging him down. I think we're planting more seeds there, and I think we're gonna see the Pride is going to have a massive downfall here at WrestleMania, and it's going to start there. And I think Ellering and AOP and Scarlett, all with Cross, I think really helps push that manipulation of those talents.
That's good.
Now, see, here's my only thing. So, obviously, I'm a Cross fan. My only thing is, if you're wanting to bring him to a main event level or whatever the plan is for the guy, how do you have him look across the ring? Somebody like Roman Reigns, who literally embodies a megastar.
Yeah.
I just don't foresee there being any booking that could make Cross look strong enough to stand across the ring from Roman Reigns.
Right.
At least not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Curtis says Karrion Kross needs to get rid of that mistress he has. Scarlett is messing up his character and damaging his character. I don't think so, to be honest. He's had her since his whole career, right? And like when he got called up to the main roster, the one thing that fans were looking forward to was Scarlett being there with him. Scarlett was
literally his thing.
Yeah, the entrance was, his thing. And so, like, essentially it feels like, for me, Scarlett calls the shots, Karrion Kross does the bidding.
Because if you look at the little segments that they do with her when she's doing the tarot cards, and every single one of them predicts what's going to happen in this feud. Yeah. Every single one of them has come to fruition.
Yep.
I think, from a psychology standpoint, she is brilliant for the Final Testament group, because now you have Ellering, who's another puppet master of the AOP.
Oh yeah,
and you have Scarlett, who's a great manipulator. Look what she did for Cross last night. Yeah. Distracted Bobby every point, every part that she was given the opportunity, and now you're adding B-Fab in there.
Yep. Next, we had Tiffany Stratton versus Michin. Solid match. I mean, dude.
Seems like he's finally doing something with Michin.
Yeah, and that makes me happy. But, I love Michin, dude. Like, she's been putting in solid-ass work. I'd love to see her pick up a win, on SmackDown. They're pushing Tiffany Stratton to the moon, rightfully so. That woman is fucking amazing. Chris, I already know you love Tiffany Stratton. You love that woman. George, what do you think of Tiffany?
Respectfully.
Man, when she came out, the Elimination Chamber, I think her stock raised tremendously. Yeah, I think they got big plans for her now on the main roster. She seems to have everything she needs to be a success. But been very impressed with her and looking forward to what she can do on the main card now.
I think the craziest thing about Tiffany is there were so many people counting her out when she was going to get called up. There were so many doubts saying, "Oh, well, she's just tits and blonde hair." I'm like, bro, you don't understand like how good Tiffany Stratton is. And everybody's like, "Oh, they put the NXT title on her and she did nothing with it." I'm like, okay. So let's see what happens when she goes to the main roster. They had Tiffy time chants in an international pay-per-view. And then to follow that, this past SmackDown, there were freaking people chanting her like she's a babyface.
Yep. Next we had LA Knight, or we had AJ Styles promo. That is some of the best heel work. I think, we've seen a full-blown heel turn from AJ. Great heel work. But then you had LA Knight standing there just losing his fucking mind because he hasn't been able to get his hands on AJ, right? And he beats the shit out of the TV with the fucking chair. Genius.
Bro, I think this is the first time I've ever actually been invested in LA Knight. And, it's not a dig at LA Knight. I just don't care for anything has done. Like, I'm not a catchphrase guy. I hate catchphrase people. And that's why I didn't like Daniel Bryan, because of the yes shit. But AJ Styles finally being put in a program where he's important and he's being talked about. That was one of his best promos since SmackDown Live.
Yeah, I agree. Curtis says, I have so much respect for Montez Ford. He's the next Shawn Michaels as far as I'm concerned. He needs to leave the group and be on his own. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know as far as like the next Shawn Michaels, but that man oozes charisma. That man is a phenomenal athlete. And I think
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I think on his own, I mean, we seen what he could do in Elimination Chamber last year. All right, that man was phenomenal in the Elimination Chamber last year. He held his fucking own. And I think that him on his own will be far more successful. I don't think that they need to do this. He turns on Dawkins. I think he needs to just be like, "Hey, look, dude, it's time for us to go on our separate ways. We'll still be friends."
Kind of like they did with Brooks and Jensen and Briggs and Jensen. Sorry. Yeah. So here's my thing with Montez. I think Montez is one of the best in-ring guys too, but I'm going to use Ricochet as an example for my point that I'm going to make. Take away the flying stuff. What does he do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels didn't do flying shit.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is arguably the best in-ring guy of his generation, next to Bret Hart and others. I think Montez has potential? 100%. Can he talk on the microphone? 100%. But he cannot do the things that Shawn did. And
but also Montez is young.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And he's got age on his side. But look at the things that Shawn was doing when he was younger.
True.
All the way from when he debuted to when he retired.
Right.
Shawn was one of the most consistent guys.
Yes, I am.
That generation.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I'll say HBK. So stop giving me an ego boost. But I definitely think Montez has potential. I would never dare say HBK potential, because that's like the people that compare Johnny Gargano to HBK and then dog shit Gargano for no reason. I think the comparison stuff hurts more talent than it helps them.
Right.
And one talent in particular in NXT got the JBL comparison. I believe it was Briggs in NXT does a disgusting clothesline. And people compare it to JBL forever. And it's unfair to people like JBL went on TV and he says, "I know they compare us, but walk your own path. You're doing great." And endorsed him and walked away.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
That's what more talent should start doing, instead of putting this in their head. Like, I'll use AEW as an example because I love their fans. How many times have we heard this person's the next Rock? This person's the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, MJF, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, fucking
Ricky
Starks. Like, all those people were compared to The Rock and Austin. two of the biggest, arguably the biggest talents of the 90s.
Yeah.
And none of those four guys are anywhere near that star power.
Fuck no. Next, we had.
As with Sean is, I just feels unfair.
Curtis says, and by the way, Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. Hey, that was me. I'm not a fan of Bret Hart.
Neither am I.
Nothing against him.
Owen was better.
Owen was better, in my opinion. Respect. Next, we had Dragon Lee versus Angel Garza. Solid match, dude. Fantastic. Solid match. Dragon Lee picked up the win. Great match, but Legado del Fantasma attacked him, took him out because LWO was not there,
and they re-solidified Garza as an in-ring talent. And I really feel, even though he took the loss, the aftermath of that match helped him solidify his character more.
Absolutely. D-Paul, my buddy D-Paul says, Jimmy, Superfly, go. So the final segment of SmackDown got there. You could cut the tension with a knife, right? We had Roman come out. Then we had The Rock come out. Look, I'm going to say it right here, right now. When that lightning struck, I was marking the fuck out in my bed. My frail Victorian body was marking the fuck out in my bed. Okay. If I had popcorn, it would have been all over the place. If I had soda, it would have been all over the place. At this venture, I am not like sold on The Rock, but what they are doing with The Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth is great. Fucking great. But that lightning bolt shit.
What did I say to you when that entrance happened?
He sent me a meme, dude, and it was great.
I said, if Vince McMahon would have done that with his entrance, that man would have come out dressed up as Black Adam.
And then, Roman started doing his acknowledge me stuff, acknowledge us. Cody's music hit. Everybody was looking to the entrance, and then we seen that Cody and Seth come down from the crowd like so well the Shield did. God damn. And so they got in the ring. Rock talked some shit. Seth told him to shut the fuck up. Not like that, but he said, shut the fuck up. We're sick of you. You're not going to take our spot. Rock pretty much threw insults. Crowd chanted diarrhea.
Bro, the fact that they said they were doing those chants makes me happy.
Dude, and like if The Rock hadn't had his glasses on, you could have seen how pissed off he was.
Oh yeah.
And then Cody started talking, and Seth answered for Cody, said, we're going to take this fucking match. Roman said, hey, this is the last chance you get.
Mm-hmm.
God, Rock came from behind Cody and said, our ancestors are smiling down on us. Your dad is up there. You have 2 older siblings. You're the youngest of 3, yeah? And Cody said, yeah. He said, your sister was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, yeah? Your brother's a future Hall of Famer, yeah? Well, you know why you're younger? Because you were a fucking mistake. Cody slapped the dog shit out of The Rock. Cut to credits. Look, the tension, you can cut that shit with a knife. I want to throw speculation out there, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. George, what do you think is happening or is going to happen at WrestleMania with Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth?
First night tag match, Seth and Cody against Rock and Roman. I think Rock and Roman go over the first night, then Cody and Roman second night, Cody goes over.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
So I'm just gonna say I'm not a fan of Roman being a literal backstory, like a background character. And somebody actually made a really funny comment on TikTok, and I couldn't stop laughing for like solid 20 minutes. And they're like, even in this promo, Roman's part-time, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, Jesus. Again, I don't really care for the things that Rock is saying. Again, if I want to hear those promos, I'll just go back to 20 years ago when he's doing the same thing. That said, I think I don't like how Cody really didn't get to talk. I thought the slap was, louder than anything he could have probably said. I think Seth and Drew not being able to really build on their feud kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yep.
And it kind of makes Drew's if he wins or Drew's match at WrestleMania, it kind of feels like a afterthought kind of thing. And I think maybe this is to try and solidify Seth as a wrestler, and I'm not really sure why this is the direction. I'm not sure why Rock feels the need to be part of this WrestleMania because we didn't have a star power problem to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
He ruined
DC. He needed something to do.
Yeah.
He ruined the DC universe. So hey, it's like I'm doing so great. Let me go back to wrestling for a minute.
You're not wrong.
They can't do anything with them more in the Fast and Furious series.
Oh my God! Well, if you want to get technical, The Rock brought out a Fast and the Furious promo when he started talking about family. I was just waiting for him to change the tone of his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Our family, brother. But I don't want Seth to take the pin, and I don't want Cody to take the pin. That's the problem here. Is like you're in a complete corner on this booking, and I don't think anything is going to make anybody look good. Rock is the only one realistically who can take a pinfall and not lose anything. But then that would be okay. Now it's going to be a clean Roman versus Cody, which isn't a bad idea.
Right.
Somebody pointed out something about The Rock holding up the thumb, like, the weird "We the Ones" signal. And somebody's like, watch him extend his thumb out and Solo takes out Roman. I'm like, bro, that would be pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. That Rock is pulling the strings the whole time. But I think that was yours and my theory to begin with, Sean, is Rock is going to screw over Roman.
Yeah. So I've seen a few theories online. One of them being what you just talked about. The second one being that Seth is going to turn on Cody just by some of the angles in which pictures were taken that people were looking at, right? Like Seth standing behind Cody when Cody's close to the hard cam and Cody's looking at it and Seth is just giving him this death glare, right? Yeah. Kind of like I offered to help you fight the bloodline, but don't really fucking want to.
Still sour grapes from losing the last 3 times.
Right. So there's a theory that, but I don't think that that's going to happen, right?
So if the turn happens, this is how I would do it. Have Seth walk out of that match.
Yes.
And Cody takes the pinfall.
Yep.
But yep. I don't want to see Cody take that. I don't want to see Rock. Jesus Christ. I don't want to see Roman pin Cody. I want to see Rock.
It would have to be one of those moments where like Roman spears Cody and the Rock and Seth would be out of the ring or off the apron or whatever. And then Roman like goes to pin him, but looks up at the Rock and tags him in. And Rock comes in and pins him for the 3.
That way, he could try and sell Roman on the fact that he's standing hard with the bloodline. Just to screw over Roman the next night.
Yeah. And I think what could happen, right, is like, because fast forward, it would end up being the bloodline rules match, right? Anything goes, which means anything goes for Cody too. Some people were saying, oh, Austin could come in and spite, for Cody. That's not going to fucking happen. Let's be real. That's not going to happen. What I think is going to happen is Bloodline's going to interfere, or maybe The Rock is holding Cody. Roman goes to spear Cody. Cody fucking moves, hits the Rock, right? And then so it ends up being, Roman and Cody. The rest of the bloodline's taken out. Roman and Cody, and the Rock breaks up the pin from Roman's on top of Cody. Rock breaks up the pin, and then fucking Rock bottoms Roman, walks out of the ring.
So I think, what if we have Rock be like a special guest enforcer and get something similar to what you were saying? And when
Mike Tyson,
Cody's down and out, and after a spear, Roman is just doing "We the One" sign, and Rock turns to him, does the "We the Ones" solo, and then a rock bottom, and then puts Cody on top.
He goes like this and then goes like that. God damn.
I think that would be generational. I hate that damn word because of AEW fans ruined that word, but Jesus.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that there's a better way to book it. And I don't I don't even know what the fuck they're going to do. All I know.
That's what's so exciting, bro.
Look, all I know is if Cody wins, that stadium is going to burn to the fucking ground. If Cody loses, that stadium is going to burn to the fucking ground.
Facts.
Regardless, I have never been more excited for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue to say this is one of the most important WrestleMania since probably WrestleMania 17.
Yep. George, what do you think?
I think, like I said earlier, first night, Rock and Reigns go over. Second night, I don't know. I keep thinking we're going to see new members.
Yeah, could.
But would you debut?
No. Let me change that. Rock was over Roman second night. We see new members the next night of that Raw. This one we see new debuts. So that's when we see new members of the bloodline come in.
Yeah, I think because Triple H is trying to bring Jacob. Ooh, yeah, because Jacob, if I'm not wrong, I could be wrong. George, you might know a little bit better than I do. Jacob Fatu now wrestles for Booker T's promotion, yeah?
Yeah, he wrestled for Sword Championship Wrestling just this past weekend.
Yeah. So that's the hot shot.
Isn't Booker trying to get him signed?
Probably so. I mean, if he's in Booker's promotion, then WWE has a good idea of who he is and what he can do.
Right. So. Who's the other Fatu they're trying to sign? Is it Zilla?
Yeah.
Or is it one of the other ones?
I know Lance. Lance and
does Lance still wrestle?
Yeah, Lance still wrestles. I think he just won a tag team championship.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Somewhere in another promotion. But look, man, I say this every week toward the close. I'm so excited for wrestling, right? Like this is a time to be a wrestling fan. This is a time to start watching wrestling again if you haven't watched wrestling. This is a time to enjoy wrestling because wrestling's awesome, right? And like it brings us all together. Even if you don't like WWE or you don't like AEW, New Japan, Impact, whatever, like this is a time to get into it and enjoy it, right? Because I've never seen a time in wrestling where I'm just like, I'm really enjoying this.
Right.
So, before we go, George, would you like to put over what you're working?
Yes, I'm working for OIWA, Sword Championship Wrestling, run by Bobby Horn in Dallas, Texas. We have our next show, I believe it's April 14th at the Elks Lodge on Lowwater in Dallas. That's right off Plano Road. Huge events, great talent, great crowds every time we go out. Please come out and join us. And I'm also the CEO and founder of my own nonprofit Med Association where we focus on mental health. You can reach me at 901-631-4300. And just want to say, as a people, let's just try to treat each other better. That's the best thing we can do for ourselves and each other's mental health, and just try to treat each other better and be kind every day.
Absolutely. And one last comment before we go. You guys are forgetting about WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman may have a plan to turn on Roman. who knows? It's not likely it's the first time he turned on this tribal chief.
I think the only hole there is I feel Paul Heyman would be way too obvious. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not against Paul Heyman turning on Roman. I just feel it's one of those, we've seen it 7,000 different variations, and I don't know. I don't want to see that again. That's just me.
Absolutely. Chris, you got any last thoughts before we go?
Yes. I actually had one thing that I forgot to mention earlier. So I don't know if you saw Sammy Guevara got suspended, right?
Yep.
Now, we are very aware of the Guevara and Sasha Banks incident.
Yep.
Do you think it's a coincidence that he got suspended before her big debut?
I wouldn't doubt that she gets fired or that he gets fired.
Yeah, because I'm starting to think that he got suspended because of concussion protocol, but why wouldn't you suspend the referee too?
Yeah, very true.
So I'm curious to see if there was a coincidence there or if they're actually going to allow Sammy to work in the same company as Mercedes Moné.
Who knows? Who knows?
Can't wait for those ratings.
Right. But I'd like to say thank you for everybody that's been here, that's hung out with us for this past almost 2 hours.
Right.
Curtis, thank you for being here and hanging out. We try to go live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we're not about, we don't go live at that certain amount of time. Thank you, Furman. I appreciate you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for everybody who's been in here, commenting with us, talking with us. We really enjoy the conversation. We like when people interact with us because it gives us a different perspective, different point of view. So until next time, I hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy rest. We the ones.
Everyone stay blessed.
Stay blessed. Much love.
Yeah.